Good afternoon. I'm Kirsten Neese, Director of Marketing for Cornerstone Homes. Today I have with me Karen Spraker. She's a resident here at Chickahominy Falls and has recently moved in. We're going to chat with Karen today about her experience in building her home with Cornerstone. We're in the Washington 2 model here and enjoying this nice fall day. It's a little bit windy. We were hoping to be outside, but we're glad to be in this cozy, warm house here. Karen, so tell me a little bit about which plan you chose to build and why you chose that plan.
Well, probably because this model's so gorgeous. I actually picked the Washington 2. I did look at a few others. Even though we don't really use a formal dining room that often, I liked the idea that it was off to the side so that, if it was right in the middle, which is one of the plans I was looking at, we'd have it piled with papers all the time. So I just figured, so I like the layout. This openness is just gorgeous. The model itself was very inspiring because it's just beautifully done. And then the other thing is we originally were going to move to Lake of the Woods to retire. So we had a house there since 2012.
Okay.
In the meantime, my son's fiance, now bride, moved down to Richmond, take a job here. And then my son followed her. And then my daughter and her family found a historic property in the district down there. So our plans shifted. We decided because of my grandson I wanted to be closer. So I had originally come here with my sister. She lives in Florida. My husband and I were actually looking at historic homes and older homes closer to the city. And then I brought my sister here actually about a year ago, figuring she could move up closer to family. She's in Florida, she doesn't really like it. And we went through the model, and she then decided she didn't want to move to Virginia, it's too much traffic, da-da-da. So we were looking at a beautiful old Tudor and realizing that there's no way in the world we're gonna live on one floor, we're gonna have to redo everything. And I said, maybe we should think about this community for ourselves. So I sort of started needling my husband to come look, and he did. And he's a good guy. He goes along with me on certain things. So he went ahead and, said, okay, if that's what you want to do. We had sold the house at Lake of the Woods. So we had the money from that to put down on this one. So the first question you asked me was the Washington. I know I answered more than that.
Well, and you're at the lower level, so I'm thinking you've got a sister that's out of town. The lower level offers an incredible master or nice guest suite down there, so that might have been a nice
Well, my daughter is an architect and interior designer, and she teaches at George Washington, but now she's also teaching at VCU.
Fantastic.
So she looked at the space down there. We went back and forth with Lori, God bless her. She was so patient with me. Whether we should finish half, what are we going to do? So we actually finished the rec room part of it and put in a fireplace, and we're going to have the TV. My husband's a football nut, Virginia Tech. He's a hokey, crazy guy.
Fantastic.
And West Point.
So great space
so he
down
will
there.
be in the basement watching his football, and the rest of us can be upstairs without him telling us to be quiet. At our lake house, we had everything on the main floor we needed, and then downstairs was for guests. So that's exactly what the attraction was here. So we are going to put on the other side of the basement a smaller bedroom and then a playroom for the grandkids. So it's going to be, my daughter will design it, and it'll be fantastic.
Exactly. And you mentioned that you had lake property. Well, now you have water frontage again. You have a beautiful view of the pond. So that's fantastic. And I'm sure a nice draw for why you chose that lot.
Yes.
So tell me a little bit, we talked a second ago about Lori. So Lori is our selection specialist, a design consultant, and she works with all of our buyers, making all their selections for their homes. And I'm presuming she worked with you and maybe your daughter.
Yes, she was great. I have had probably over the years 10 houses I bought and sold, and every one of them has been a used home. So this was my first time going from scratch.
Clean slate. Fantastic.
And people, aren't you excited? No, I was scared to death because I didn't know how to make the decisions, what goes with what. So I was very, very blessed to have Lori. And then my daughter did come, and she basically said, no, Mom, you're going to do this. Like we did the tray ceiling, which I had not planned, but she said, oh yes. And we did bay window in the master bedroom.
Right. I
And
noticed that.
it is fabulous. And I wouldn't have done that, but she said, oh, architecturally, it adds interest, it increases your view and, all
Right.
this. And I'm like, okay. So anyways, she helped me. And then I have a good friend who has been in construction for 30 years building custom homes. And she came to one of the meetings. So between the two, my girlfriend and
Yeah.
Lori, and it was like the trinity.
There
of
you
the
go.
three
You had it all. And your
pros.
husband stayed out of it, which is
Yes, and I
sometimes the
didn't let
best.
him. He did not even come. So we were very considerate of his likes too.
Perfect.
But
And you found that it
and
offered
Lori
everything
Was,
that-
yeah, and Lori was fantastic. I mean, I kept changing my mind and had so many questions, and she was delightful. Never
Good.
got mad. Never ruffled.
No,
she was just
she's
a rock. She
Really
was-
good and knows her products well
beautiful.
and knows what
Yes.
goes well together.
Yes.
Good.
Very
Well, I'm
helpful.
glad you had a great experience with her. So then during the construction process, you live up a couple hours away, and so you maybe aren't coming by super regularly, but then
Right.
you said you had family in the area. So we have 4 standard construction meetings with our
Right.
construction team. Our pre-construction, where you go over your plans and make sure that everything selected is in the home. Our pre-drywall, where you look at the walls before they're enclosed with the drywall, make sure everything's where it's supposed to be. And then your NHO, which is your walk, where you come right before closing and just learn how to operate all your systems and sort
Right.
of see and make sure that everything is finished out, and there might be a few things that you need to have adjusted right before your final courtesy walk, which is the day
Right.
of closing.
Right.
So I'm assuming you worked with a great team here at Chickahominy Falls, and if you want to
Yes.
tell me a little bit about that experience.
Well, I had, of course, Greg is the salesperson, so he went through a lot of things with me.
Yeah.
Again, very nice guy, good personality, easy to work with.
Yeah.
And then Gabe, who I want to adopt, he's about the same age as my son, and he's just
He's a good
he
guy.
is
He's a
such,
keeper.
Yeah, he's really again just personality that he could have gotten real upset with us because I was picking about everything, and my daughter, being an architect and
Right.
interior designer, was like, no, this should have been over here, and da 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 da. So he was pretty patient, with all our questions. We did exactly what you said, those 4 meetings. And I ended up, my mistake was going to the first meeting by myself.
Yeah, it's always
Because
good to
that
have
was
a
where
second
you
set
do
of
the
ears.
plan. We had a lot of trouble with the mechanical engineering type drawing because I've never worked with something like that before. And even with my daughter, it was not what she's used to with
Right, yeah.
construction. So I went to that meeting by myself, and I did not notice that they didn't have the bay window in there. So that was my fault. And
Yeah.
then after a little time went by, I all of a sudden realized it and said, oh my God, and came back to them, and they worked with me on it. So we have our bay window, which was
Great.
not easy for them to adjust.
Yeah,
everything.
it really isn't, and not something that we typically
Don't
can
do.
at
No.
the after you've made your selections. Typically, you have 21 days once you
Right.
contract to make your selections. So that is a bit unusual,
Yes.
but obviously it was an important thing to you, and we can try to make adjustments if we're able to,
Yes.
and not hinder the construction schedule. And
Yes.
I understand you actually moved in and closed a little bit earlier than
Yes, in fact, we had, because my husband Bill is not retiring to the end of February. When I was here with my sister, I said, "Why isn't that lot the one that we're on? How come nobody's bought that? What's wrong with it?" And
Right.
he said, "Nothing's wrong with it. It's a great lot, but because of the Chesapeake Bay
Water Act,
restriction-
we had a water
they
retention
couldn't
pond
build
there.
on it.
Yeah.
So I said, well, that's okay with us because we don't want to move anyways right away. So originally we were scheduled to close mid-November, which we thought, it's going to be January, February anyways, because normally
Right,
construction
takes
runs
longer.
late.
Yeah.
So then with COVID, I think what probably happened is they looked at who they already had contracts for and said, well, we'll focus our energy there, which makes sense.
Yeah, and we just had a good, everything was kind of kicking on all 4 cylinders here
Right.
at Chickahominy by that point. So we did
Yes.
have a really nice, smooth construction process for
Yes,
you.
so we did closing middle of October, and again, they wanted to do end of September. That was just too soon, so they were good about
Accommodating.
helping us
Good.
move it. And all of the meetings went very smoothly, other than, like I said, my first one, if anybody here that's watching buys a house, don't go by yourself to
Well,
do
and
anything.
I think it's kind of like going to a doctor nowadays. When you go
Yes.
for something serious, I mean, you're making a big investment, and you
Have
want to make sure
somebody
that
there
you
to
have
double
another
check.
set of ears to listen.
Yes.
And so I think that that's great advice.
Yes.
So what do you, now that you have your house and you're, slowly moving in because you're not fully down here yet, what do you like most about your new home?
View. I
Yeah.
love, like I said, we had the lake house to retire, and being able to look out and see the water is just peaceful. And the people, I mean, I don't live here yet, but I got on the Facebook page, which
Right.
I don't do Facebook normally, but it has been invaluable because people put on, like when I can go into the food trucks.
Right.
The
Lots of great,
people-
helpful information.
Oh, great information. Everybody is so helpful. I actually ran into this Bob Clark.
Yeah, he's
at the,
great.
At the food
Lots of
truck,
our-
and I'm going, I know who you are. You're the
Yeah,
guy with the
he's
drone.
fantastic.
He gets all these pictures. So just the spirit of the place, from just seeing how these people interact, what they post, how kind they are.
Right.
People have stopped by and said hello and introduced themselves. So the people are great. Like a lot of people, the idea that the farm was there and that we can go to the farmer's market, just walk over there.
Right.
And the clubhouse is going to be super nice, having a pool to take the family. There's a lot of benefits to being here.
Yeah, and it's a great location for you
Yes.
to get down and see
Yes.
your family in Richmond, right here off of 95, and real convenient, but still offers a nice rural landscape.
Yes,
so.
and it's far enough away that we're not right
Yeah,
on top
plenty
of each
room
other.
for them to come visit,
Yes.
but not stay too long. So that's
Exactly.
fantastic.
Exactly.
Well, good. Well, this has been really nice having you with us today, and I appreciate your taking the time to be with us. And we look forward to having you be here for many years and enjoy your time at Chickahominy Falls
Thank
in your
you.
new Washington home.
I look forward to moving in permanently.
Fantastic. Thank you so much.
Thank you.